and welcome to Sullivan's farm again. Weather's taken a slight bit of a turn, got a bit colder and wetter, so we're moving into a different part of the farm year here. I don't know if you can see it, where cattle have just left this field there yesterday evening. I moved them down to fresh grass. We'll go down and look at them in a second. And we're probably in, I'm not exactly sure, but I think we're in the last grazing rotation of the year. The plan is to keep the cattle out until around the 1st of November, and all going well, there'll be a half dozen whitehead heifers gone at that stage to the butcher or the mart or the factory, but they're going one way or the other. I have bills to pay, and the rest then will go into the shed. We'll see how we're going around that week. And the weanlings then, at that point, it'll probably be a week later if we can manage it at all. We'll be going in on the rape that I showed a couple of weeks ago there. We'll go in for a closer look at that. I'm going to get down low here so the rape seed looks better. You're seeing it at a good angle. But it's really, in fairness, it's taken off. It's done very well considering how late it was set. And all going well, it's around, like ideally, this day 4 weeks, or around 3-4 weeks from now, the weanlings will come in on it. They won't get a huge amount of time on it, but they'll get a couple of weeks. Hopefully they'll get up to Christmas on it. You can see the bales lined up the whole way down there as well. They'll be getting about 1.5 kilos of cubes. I was going to give them half cubes, half barley, but sure, 'tis kind of messing really. I'm just going to give them 1.5 kilos of cubes and keep it as simple as possible. We might go down now because there's 2 paddocks here in this field, and one is doing very, very well. That's the first one they're going to come into, and it got an extra little bit of fertilizer at the time it was set, because it's the first one the calves, the weanlings, are going to be coming into. So hopefully it gave it a bit of an extra jump, and the stuff out in the second paddock will just have that little bit longer to get going. But again, this is the theory. The reality may be different. But sure, we'll go down for a look anyway, see if we can see the difference between the two. So we're out in the middle of the 2 paddocks here now. You can see the permanent division down the middle there. This is the side that got a little bit less fertilizer. Probably got about maybe 2 bags, maybe 1.5 bags to the acre. So it's probably a little bit slower to establish, and it's not doing as well now. And this is the side then they're going to go into first. And I guess that, just looking at that now, is a result in itself for me. I should have given it the other side, the extra bit of fertilizer that this got. This probably got 2.5 bags to the acre, and it got established quicker, and it's doing better now. It got a better start as much as anything else, I guess. But sure, look, you live and learn. This is where the weanlings will go in first. And in theory anyway, they'll get about a month here and maybe a month on that side if it starts to catch up a bit. So sure, look, it is all a bit of research. We'll see how they get on. We're passing the shed on the way down, so I just thought I'd come in quickly. The feed barriers still aren't here. I spoke to the man who's making them there, and they're going to be here next week. That was, I suppose, maybe 2 weeks ago now. And we had a chat about the diagonal rails versus the straight rails, something I mentioned in a previous video. And it was working out about an extra €100 per bay or per span for the diagonal one. So 400 quid overall. So I suppose I said I'd splash out and pay the extra 400 quid for the diagonal barriers the whole way down. But we'll go through it maybe in a little bit more detail when they're in, and the dividing gates and the barrier gate is here at the end as well, in a future video. So hopefully in about a fortnight's time that'll be done, and all I'll have to do then is plumb water in myself, which won't be a big job, says he famously. As we're passing here, I'll show you another kind of a structural change. There's a new gap we've knocked there to make it a bit easier to get from the roadway up there, mind the fence, to come straight out into the field here and access to those. Makes it easier to move the cattle, but more importantly, it makes it easier for a tractor and trailer to get in. Cut a few bales of silage down in this field during the summer and the one beside it, and the tractor and trailer couldn't get out or couldn't get in and get out of this gap here. It was too much of a sharp turn to try and get out there and then turn and whip up the roadway there as well. So I gave one Sunday drawing up about, I don't know, was there about 50 bales here on with our own tractor on the bale handler on the front and the bale handler on the back. So after that I said, right, something has to give, and we'll get that sorted before the first silage is cut next year anyway. And again, it's a kind of a structural thing. It'll be there for all time, and it'll make moving the cattle that bit easier as well. So all these small things hopefully will add up. When we were reseeding this field there 2 years ago, or was it last year now, I can't remember, there was extra clover put into the grass mix that was going in. So there's plenty clover in the field now. One of the things I always try to do is to have one of these magnesium lick buckets out. I'm hoping it might help prevent bloat in the cattle or in the calves. I can't say whether it does or it doesn't, but I'm inclined to leave it out anyway, just in case. It's a bit of an insurance policy, and so far so good. We haven't lost any on or had any trouble with bloat so far. Just down having a quick look at them now. We had a TB test this week. We're reading the test tomorrow, so I'm going to have a quick look to see, God forbid, there's any lesions on him as I'm walking through. But to be honest, I'm not really sure what they'd look like. Since we've had cattle here again the last couple of years, we haven't had any reactors or any problems with TB. I guess what helps that is the fact that it's all calves and young cattle under 2 years, which apparently are unlikely to get TB. But I suppose, look, that depends on the area of the country you're into. Like there's plenty forestry, Quilcha forestry there, and some that we planted ourselves in 2015 behind me there. So in hindsight, TB and deer in and out of the forestry might have been a consideration. I didn't think of it at the time, and whoever's planting it for you doesn't usually highlight such potential downsides. But look, we'll see how they go. We'll have a quick look anyway, and overall we'll go from there. Once the TB test results are in, I'll give that local man a shout to see if he'll come and check some of the cattle and see if he'll take them. I was asking the vet when she came the other day to do the test what she thought of them, and she reckons a few of them are fit anyway. So, but she said ultimately, look, talk to the butcher first. He's the man who will really say whether they're fit or not. I've had a look, and I can't see any lumps on any necks anyway, and even if there were some kind of lesions or lumps there, I'm not, there's nothing can be done. At this stage, it'll be up to the vet to see them or to come up with a plan if there's any issue tomorrow, but hopefully there's not. But just out of interest, I thought I'd come down for a look myself to see if there was anything too obvious. And there's not, and it's nice to see that they're nice and settled. We had a good supper rain last night. I thought they might be a little bit unsettled down here in this what's kind of maybe the wettest part of the farm, but they're all happy enough, so we leave them alone. We'll have a quick look at where the next water truck is going here now before we go away. We had a man here last week moving a bit of clay, and I asked him to try and find the water pipe, but sure, we couldn't find it anyway, so we're going to have to put down a new one. Like, there's a water pipe going directly under the ground, but sure, look, I'll show you what it looks like now. So there we have a fine big concrete water truck. They are ready to rock, and when that'll be set up, it'll allow us to divide this field into 4. There's 2 permanent divisions, one line down the middle dividing it, and then when the water truck's in place, it'll allow us to very easily divide it into 4. So again, that'll make things a bit easier. There's the cattle settled still. And there's a water pipe under the ground because we have water going out to a field out behind us here as well. And the plan was to connect this up when the field was reseeded. But the pipe was put down before the field was reseeded, and now I can't find where the water pipe is buried. I know it's in this general area, and the man with the digger, in fairness to him, tried to help find it there last week, but sure, look, we couldn't find it anyway. It might have been buried a bit too deeply, or we might have been digging in the wrong place, or my memory isn't as good as what I thought. But when the cattle are gone out of these paddocks now, I'll kind of scrape it over, throw down a bit of grass seed, and it should be fine. And I think what we'll end up doing then is just tracking where the water pipe is, going out into the field next door and bring it back. It's only about 60-70 yards, so it's not a huge amount of pipe. It's more the principle of the thing and not being able to find the pipe that's running underneath the ground. But look, you have to take the hit on these bits and pieces every now and again. So we'll connect up that water truck, and next year, 2 years later, we'll have 4 of the grandest little paddocks down here with loads of clover and loads of thriving cattle. So that's the theory anyway. There's the field next door, and hopefully you can see it here now. There's the water pipe going out, buried under the wire there, and then it goes out, or it comes from, should be coming from the water truck we were just at in the distance. But look, we can't find the pipe, so we'll just have to put down a new length of it, whatever it is, 60-70 yards, and bury that at some stage again. So that's it then. Quick walk around today, quick check on the cattle. All going well. There'll be no issues when we read the TB test tomorrow, and I'll contact that man about taking the first few heifers then, and we will be, I think they're booked in then for the vet to come next week and cut the horns off the ones that were that weren't done last year. I bought them in June last year as reared calves, and they were too big to dehorn at that stage. So sure, look, I meant to do it several times, never got around to it, but it'll be done there now. I think it's Thursday of next week, something like that anyway, and we'll be ready to sell a few then. We'll be definitely into the last rotation of grass at that stage, and the first few will be going into the shed probably as well then. So we're really moving into the autumn and the winter time of the year. But sure, look, so far it's fairly mild. The rape is still doing okay, and we'll take whatever comes at us. So thanks again for watching. If you have any comments or any you want to subscribe or any that kind of thing, please do so. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks very much. Good luck.